Thank you.
Saseni, hope mko fiti. Ni Edwin hapa. Siku yangu iko poa. Asante.
Thank you, Edwin. We'll proceed to Grace, Joy, Yvonne, then Stinster. Wanne ndio tuende haraka haraka. Grace, if you can hear us.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace. Leo, thank you all for joining.
I think Grace audio has an issue, so we'll proceed to Joy, Yvonne, then Stinster.
Hello everyone, my name is Joy Oyaro. I'm glad to be joining this session with you guys. I'm hoping to learn from it.
Hi, Yvonne here. I saw the post on WhatsApp and decided to join, and I'm glad to be here and ready to learn. Thank you.
Stinster, Kate, David, then Winnie.
Joy, my name is Tinika. Take note.
Sorry, I've taken notes.
Okay, my day was good, but I achieved really what I wanted to achieve today. But I can't complain.
Welcome. So Kate, David, then Winnie.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I'm Catherine Omingo. I didn't see this on WhatsApp, but I checked on my daughter's status. So I decided to join so that I can give her some backup.
Thank you. David, Winnie, then Eric.
Oh, David's not David.
There's another David, but it's okay. You can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Actually, my day has been good also, but just looking forward to the topic. I'm interested in it, actually. Yeah, I'm expectant of it. Thank you.
Winnie, Eric, David.
Hello everyone, my name is Winnie. I saw this Dutch topic on WhatsApp and decided to join and learn more. Yeah, my day was good. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Glad to be here. My day has been good. I'm looking forward to learning from you guys.
David, if you can hear us. David, Collins, Meshach, then Martha. Venye nimefuatanisha majina. You can proceed. Collins, Meshach, and Martha, you can proceed.
Hi everyone, I am Collins Yasienga, volunteer at Nzumari, Africa. My day was good and I'm feeling okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nasha Kogat. I'm excited to be here this evening for this particular session. My day was all right. Thank you for asking, and I hope we will have a productive session. Thank you.
Martha, Zach, Sarah. Okay, Sarah, then Zach, then I can now introduce my other colleagues, then we can proceed.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Olunga. My day was okay, and yeah, I am looking forward to an interactive and fun session.
Hello everyone. I'm Nzumari. My day has been good and I'm here to learn.
Thank you, Zach and Sarah. So thank you so much for everyone that has been able to introduce themselves. For those who have just joined or haven't introduced themselves, you can do that in the chat box. So I can invite my colleague Raymond to introduce himself if he's here. Raymond, if you can hear me. I think his internet has an issue. Raymond, we can't hear you. Okay, so you'll just introduce yourself as we continue, maybe when your network is a bit stable. So,
nakusikia.
Sorry, sasa tunakusikia.
Unajua niko kwa hii Safaricom. Niko hapa. Acha nikipit short. Tuendelee. Asante.
Karibu sana. Grace, ulikuwa unajiintroduce ukapotea. Grace Kasiva. Okay, I think hatusikii, so we can just continue.
Ni mimi niko mute ama ni wewe uko mute?
Oh yeah. Oh, nilikuwa mute. Poleni. Sorry. So as I was saying, today we are going to talk about childhood experiences, and in childhood experiences, we have both the ACEs, which are advanced childhood experiences, and PCEs, positive childhood experiences, because we realize growing up, people go through different experiences. Not just everyone goes through negative experience. We have those that have gone through the positive experiences. So for the advanced childhood experiences, generally these are traumatic, like events that happen to someone before getting to age 18. Like you're below 18, you experienced maybe violence, you experienced separation of your family members, you experienced alcohol and drug abuse in your family, you experience sexual violence or emotional violence. So generally, is on your ACEs, adverse childhood experience. Then we have those who experience the positive ones. And these are experiences that now are in the positive way. You had a good family, your family was complete, and your parents had time for you. You never experienced violence before you turned 18. So generally, that's what we are going to talk about. And as we start, I want to pose like a question to all of us. Do you think like everyone goes through the ACEs, or rather everyone goes through the PCEs? And if yes, how is that experience? Because we have people who've gone through the ACEs and we have people who've gone through the PCEs. ACEs being the adverse and PCEs being the positive childhood experiences. So as you respond, kindly elaborate further on how you think. You can share your personal experience if you're comfortable, or you can share someone else's experience that you've seen them go through a positive or a negative experience, and how did that affect them? So who will start us off? Tuko pamoja? Are we together guys, ama mumepotea?
Tuko.
Okay. So venye nimesema kuna story ya ACEs, adverse childhood experience. Unapata mtu alipitia through violence akigrow up, mtu alipitia through family yenye iko na stories za drug and alcohol abuse, mtu alirepiwa maybe akiwa mdogo or rather defilement. Mtu alikuwa na experience labda ya separation of family. They didn't grow up in a complete family because their parents waliachana na ikamuaffect vibaya. So have we seen such experiences happen? And if yes, ina affect aje mtu? Because this session was generally like an experience sharing session. Because I believe each one of us, whether umepitia ACE ama PCE, there is something yenye umelearn growing up. Kuna imeku affect in one way or the other. So any feedback? Leo watu wajisikii kuongea. Anthony, hebu tuambie what your thoughts are in this. Okay, naona Winnie umeinua mkono. Winnie, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, my take on advanced childhood experience. Okay, not from my personal experience, but from someone I've talked to, or maybe when you are having girl stories. So I feel like these always impact someone when they're growing up. For example, I know of someone, while she was growing up, she witnessed them many occasions. The father would like beat up her mom. Growing up, like her mother was a victim of gender-based violence. So as she was growing up, this impacted her. because up to the age we are right now, she's like, marriage is the least thing she can ever want, because she hasn't experienced it as such, but she has observed how her father treated the mother. So these are some things that affect us unconsciously. You might not be aware that it's really making a big or a huge impact on you, but it's drowning you slowly. So I think it has a bigger impact on an individual when you become an adult. That's my take.
Thank you, Winnie. Anyone else? What are your thoughts? Eric?
Hii yangu ni personal experience. Nikiwa primary, I was very small. Very, very small. Actually, nikimaliza class 8, nilikuwa around 38 kgs. So that was an issue. Watu walikuwa wananisumbua, wakiniingilia because of my size. Time nilikuwa high school. So I received a lot of mental bullying because of it. Ilikuwa inaffect self-esteem yangu. So as a result, siko napenda kama watu sana. Yeah, this self-esteem, I was motivated to pursue in other areas of life in this class, physically. And of course, nilikuwa na washinda. Niliingia high school. I remember there was a time I picked a football, and then what happened I got possible because I was very small. So nashindwa hapa mtu so that made me want to work on myself shape, be bigger, be better, and work on my mind. So high school, because that was my escape.
Eric, tunakupoteza kidogo.
Unanisikia?
Jaribu kushout kidogo because there is some background noise on your end.
Oh, so mimi nasema nilikuwa na experience a lot of mental abuse sababu ya body size yangu nikiwa mdogo and all through high school. And as a result of that, I wanted to let myself improve in other areas of life because sasa mwili hauwezi kufanya kitu yote. So I think it was a positive thing. Nilipata hiyo motivation. Hata kama self-esteem yangu ilikuwa chini, ilinipea motivation. Hata recently tu last year, niliingia something about alitoa comment about when niko nikamwambia mimi najua. I accepted that. So siwezi sioni kama ni big deal, sioni kama ni issue, but that really affects your self-esteem as a person. Inafanya hata kuna vitu zingine huwezi fanya na watu, ama kuna vitu zingine huwezi ongelea mbele ya watu. Yeah, ni hizo tu.
Thank you so much, Eric. Eric amongelea story ya his personal experience in terms of since alikuwa na mwili ndogo, watu walikuwa like wanambully to some extent na akaanza kukuwa na self-esteem issues, but on the brighter side imemsaidia grow up to think positively about himself. So anyone else? Kuna research ilifanywa na BMC Public Health ilikuwa inasema like most children wenye wamelelewa kwa violent homes or rather walikuwa likely to be abused wakiwa watoi. They'll either grow up becoming abusive parents to their kids in future. They'll either also grow up being wakwe na attachment issues na maybe parents wao, ama pia as parents they'll have attachment issues. Kuna wale wengine watakuwa na like frightening parenting behaviors, ile like anashautia mtoi vibaya ama anachapa mtoto vibaya. So sijui kama kuna mtu ali grow up in a violent home ama ume experience msee around you that went through violence and imemu affect in such a manner. And is this research saying the truth? Is this happening? Ama it's something that is not happening? What do we think? Yes, Davis.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I think the research might be telling the truth because I also grew up in a dysfunctional family where I was raised up by a stepmother. And most of the time, actually, now, the way I was treated when I was young, I was really impacted. I was impacted negatively, actually, by hating women. But now I'm trying to work on that with my therapist, because something that has been affecting me, because of the way I was treated, and even the siblings of my stepmother now, because they was treated like an economic tool, and also like I couldn't go to school because of some of the things that I need to do or perform some duties before going to school. So it wasn't a nice experience to me, and I really didn't love it. But all in all, I had to cope up with it. But so far so good, and but now I'm doing well. At least I'm free. And also being left by my mother and discovering who she was, apparently or unfortunately, she denied me because of maybe I was big, I don't know. But I really don't know how to express it. But even during the one we are celebrating about Mother's Day, I didn't know what to celebrate about a mother because the way she treated me and the way she rejected me. So, but so far so good. I'm trying to work on it, but I was negatively impacted. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Davis. From Davis's experience, to learn that him growing up in a violent home, especially the mom didn't like him. He grew up he hate women, but he's recognized that he's trying to get over it by seeing a therapist, which is something very essential to do. Thank you so much, Davis, for sharing. Hakuna mtu ame-experience kitu mzuri aki-grow up. Because I know tumezoea tu kusikia vitu mbaya mbaya, but I'm so sure there are those who've experienced something good and can also share like how their experience was and how it is affecting them right now as adults. Mkikataa kuongea nitaanza kuita majina. Raymond. Speaking Grace.
I think
okay.
I can talk. Sijui kama nasikika sahi.
Tunakusikia though in a drag kidogo.
Yangu ni positive kiasi. Okay. Yangu ni positive because growing up, my parents wamekuwa always there for me. As in, sijui what it means to have parents who are
Grace, your
absent,
internet
kama
ni kama iko
vile
stable.
watu husema absentee father.
Grace,
Wangu amekuanga tu presentee kila time, so nimekuwa na support throughout, and na sai.
ina drag bado. Maybe try find.
How about now?
Oh, yes, sahi sasa tunakusikia.
Hello, na sai mnanisikia?
Tunakusikia sasa.
Na nisikuwa nasema
tunakusikia sasa.
Good. Sasa nilikuwa nasema mimi nimekuwa na presentee parents wale wanakupatia a platform, kukujulia hali, kutaka kujua unafanya nini. Like, it was an environment where it was very positive for me, and so growing up nimekam kukua na trust watu sana, as in mi sijui, siko very quick kuona ama kuchukua negatives kwa watu haraka. Mi huona tu positive kwa sababu hivyo ndio nime grow up. So napata along the way ninaweza kuwa taken advantage of, vitu zinaweza niendea mrama na mi sioni ama siwezi hata angalia ama siwezi sense haraka. I think hiyo ndio the downside of having a positive kind of life. Yeah, because sasa unajua mse akipitia adverse childhood experiences kama zenye nimeona na watu wengine, especially if your experience was a violent environment, unapata response inaweza kuwa pia fear. Umeishi tu na fear all through, ama anxiety. So everything yenye ina happen kwa life yako, your first response will be the fear that umekuwa ukijua since umekuwa young. So sami yangu ni opposite. Mi sina fear, mi naona tu love, happiness, because parents wamekuwa hapo ever supportive. And so yeah, that has been my personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Raymond, I can see your hand up.
Wacha niangalia kama Safaricom wanani let down. Mnanisikia?
Tunakusikia vizuri sana.
Sasa mimi yangu I had a very present father, and so hiyo huwa inani encourage pia mimi kukuwa as much as possible present to my kids. Yende alini introduce kusoma novels, like he made being a father interesting, so it is something which I am trying to emulate. So that is something very positive yenye nimeona from him, and I'm trying as much as possible. If I can be half the man he was, then mimi najua nitakuwa sawa. Thank you.
And Eric, your hand is still up.
Yes. Mimi story yangu nilikuwa mdogo. I was very curious. So curiosity yangu ilikuwa na watu ni explore vitu, na yeye ilini build. So I was interested in drawing nikiwa mdogo. I was a very good artist with you. So nilikuwa nachora comics kwa kitabu, nilikuwa nachora shule. Hapa ni high school, nilikuwa nachora vitu, diagrams class, all that. Until juzi nikachoka, nilienda shule university. So hiyo freedom ya kuexplore hizi vitu zote imenisaidia sana, especially kwa education yangu, sababu nilikuwa nataka kujua vitu vingi na gain knowledge nyingi na knowledge gaps zangu and all that. So imekuwa ikinisaidia sana, badala kuna unaweza kupata na mpango nataka kujua vitu lakini wanaambia hapana, you can't do this, you can't do that. Wanafungiwa kwa nyumba, wanaambiwa sio, don't usiende kwa usiende wapi. But mimi nilikuwa napatiwa hiyo iwe ya interact na watu, hata watu wenye ngoja kushinda spaces zao. Sasa ikanifanya ikanijenga the person that I am today. Yeah, hiyo tu.
Thank you, Eric. At least sasa naona pia kuna some positive feedback. Na tukiwa bado tu kwa hiyo positive feedback, kulikuwa there's somewhere pia nilisoma like most people wenye waliraisiwa up in positive with positive experiences, unapata they have better coping mechanisms, they are likely to have good families in future, they are likely to just have a good life. Venye kama wamesema picking up story of being a present father in the children's life. So utapata most people wenye pia wameraisiwa hapo kwa positive who have positive childhood experiences are likely to emulate positive kind of behaviors growing up. But at times, unapatanga kuna wale wenye they experience positive childhood experiences, but waki grow up, wanakuwa wabaya. The same way kuna hawa watu wali experience ACEs, when they grow up, they turn their traumatic experience into a positive experience. Is this the truth ama hizi tu ni speculations? Kulingana na nyinyi. Like, does this happen ama tu kama ulipitia kitu mbaya una grow up ukiwa mbaya, kama ulipitia kitu mzuri una grow up ukiwa mzuri? Is it the same ama kuna hizo nini differences? Kuna wale wataturn up kwa wazuri, kuna wale wataturn up kwa wabaya regardless of how they were raised.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, you can.
About having a negative experience, then unatana kwa something positive. I think that is something personally in my experience, because I was raised with a single mother. My dad was an absent father, but I vowed in my life that I'll make sure that I'm there for my son, because singetaka akuwe na the kind of experience that I had, not being able to have a guidance from a male figure. So for me, kwangu ilikuwa yes, negative on my side, but I decided to turn it positive to my life, in my life and the life of my son. So that is something maybe I can say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. I've also been raised up by a single mom, and I'd say I never had like of course, the bad experience maybe naweza sema nilikuwa nayo ni ile unaona maybe watoto wengine siku ya Father's Day, siku ya visiting, both parents are coming, ama wanapata more things kuwashinda, but generally I grew up in a good home. My mom and my aunt walitupenda tu venye tuko, we never lacked any food, we never lacked school fees, hatukuwa ifukuzwa. So I agree, at times you might be raised by one parent, but your life still turns out positively because we were able to go to school. We've been able to go to campus. My siblings currently are in campus, tumepata jobs vizuri. And also in future, I wouldn't want as a person kukua bado ati nikuwe single mother ama nikuwe in a single household, because most times unasikianga kuna speculations, ukiraisiwa up na single mother, you're likely to want to be a single mother yourself. But for me, I'd of course love to get married, have kids. So yes. Mchango ingine. Naona hapa kwa chat David anasema yes, In positivity, that is kids who have more supportive experiences with family, friends, and people in their school and community may be less likely to have psychological or relationship troubles in adulthood. Yeah, I love the fact that tumetumia less likely, because kuna wale bado watakuwa na positive experience but will still go through the psychological or relationships troubles in their adulthood. Haya, more feedback, more feedback. This session ilikuwa yenu participants, like sharing. Most times you just come learn from the facilitator. So this time tunataka pia we learn from each other. And that's why we were having this session. So we are still on the experience sharing on Mona Kate, ameinua mkono, yes. Kate, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think if I look into the way mumeongea about your personal experiences, in this group, I think I'm one of the oldest members, but I would like to share with you a personal experience and what has really impacted in my upbringing and also as a parent. We grew up in a more friendly environment as when we were growing up in early 80s. I think most of you amko mmezaliwa. I like the way my parents brought us up as a family, and with my siblings, we really had a very good relationship, which we have extended up to date as I'm speaking to you people. We are a family of 4 children, and me being the last born, I saw the way we were growing up. We were there for each other from the time that we were very young up to date. And I think from the experience that we had with our parents, my dad, who is late, was a very prayerful person. And through the prayers and support that he gave us, we were able to be bound together in that unity. And that one has extended to the kids that we have born, that is Jolly being the host and the rest. We have been bound together through the experience that we had with our parents. And I look at it and say that it was a very positive impact in our lives, because when I look at my cousins, some of them don't speak to each other up to date. But because of the impact that we had with our parents, that is why we have stayed together. And I look into it, as much as we had a very positive upbringing, unfortunately enough, amidst our siblings, my brother, who happens to be the only brother that we have, is into drugs and into alcohol, and is very violent. But despite the fact that he's very violent, he has done a lot of nasty things in our family. But that notwithstanding, we have been together for each other. We have tried taking care of the children as a family, as his sisters, because of the upbringing that our parents impacted on us. And I tend to think that from the experience we had as we were growing up, the 3 siblings, the 3 sisters, that love has made us to be together up to date. So, despite the challenges that one undergoes at a later stage, Once you have that background of being together, it will always be impacted in our lives. And as Jolie had indicated before, that she's been brought up by a single parent, for sure, being a single parent is not easy, but you ensure that you give out the best to your kids. And you also pray that as they grow up, they also get the best and also bring up the best to their kids in future. So all, in a nutshell, hii maisha ni ngumu, kuna changamoto ambazo tunapata, but once you don't dwell on the past and focus on the future, as much as you grew up in a very, very hostile environment, and focus on the best in your life and soldier on, you'll always forget about the past. Because I saw, as I was also growing up, let me give you an example. I had a neighbor when we were young, waliteswa sana na baba yao. The dad ended up marrying a second wife. They came and lived in Nairobi with the second wife. But I liked my friend, because eventually, when the second wife, that is the stepmother, left the dad, the lady was able to embrace the father back home, because sasa hakuwa na chochote. And eventually that friend of mine was already blessed. So alikuja akabahatika, she got married to a German. She's a German citizen at the moment, but alikuja akakumbuka wazazi. And when the dad died, many people could not believe that the dad could go back to, this lady could accept the father back na akazikwa where she had bought a land. Not the ancestral land, but where she had bought a land, ndiye akajengea mama yake. So despite all the challenges, as one person had indicated before, that he's trying to catch up, najaribu kutafakari all the negative experiences that he had as he was growing up. The best thing that I would advise is, as you are going through the therapy, as you have indicated, is you ensure that you try and forget the past and focus on the future, even though ni ngumu, but through God, everything is possible. Asante.
Thank you so much, Kate, for sharing. Any other before we move to the next discussion? So Kemunto kwa chat amesema, in negativity, I was raised in a family where the mother, I think, strived so hard. My siblings, if my mother would have not strived so hard, my siblings and I will not be anywhere today. My dad used to beat my mom. It was so terrible. He even married another wife. He could not give us anything, never supported us like the other family. I love him, but he pisses me off because of the past experiences. My mom loved us so much, worked hard to see us through. Such experiences can make one to have a negative attitude, personality disorder, a lot of anxiety, which will even land you into depression. At school, sometimes the performance goes down, which is alarming. Above all, I thank God that all of us are somewhere and God is faithful. Challenges are there to make us strong. Let's be determined and be focused. Yes, I do agree with Kemunto. Sometimes we'll find these experiences, and that's where we were going next. Like, what are some of the effects of these adverse experiences or the positive experiences? From what Kemunto has said, tumelan kuna story ya shule, when you go to school, kuna wale watadrop out, watadrop in terms of performance because ya zile mashida wana experience at home. Maybe akifika home kuna vita, hana time hata ya kufanya homework, akienda shule mwalimu ndio huyo, ako on their neck. So utapata most kids will drop in terms of their performances. Wengine hata wanaweza drop out of schools. So nataka munipatie some more effects on these adverse childhood experiences. What are their effects? Ni effects gani zina lead to sana sana? Naona Haron, mkono yako iko juu. So Haron, when you finish, Grace will go next. Haron. Grace, you can go first. Naona Haron ni kama bado hatujapatana vizuri.
So I hope I'm clear this time around. So I was support at home with my parents. Along the way, I was living with my grandmother. She's now late.
Maybe Grace, you can
She
nini your
was,
video alafu kuongea. Because sometimes video in
a mental disorder.
Grace, maybe you can nini your video. You can stop your video, then just do the audio. Yes.
Yeah, that is what I've done. I hope now I'm clear. And this is hello.
You're much better now.
Okay. So as I was saying, in as much as how it was positive from my parents,
Grace, we can't hear you.
Ifika mahali and we began with this guy. All at all.
Grace, maybe type kwa chat box. Internet inasumbua. Your internet iko unstable. So tuko kwa some of the effects za ACEs. Of course tumeongea story ya drop out from schools. Kuna vitu kama separation ya parents ime come up. What else? Haron, naona bado mkono yako iko juu. Okay, Helen.
Okay, I will say that childhood experience at birth has a negative effect. Like, for example, I don't know whether it is a negative on my side or it's a positive. I'll just give an example of my family. I was raised by both parents and I was in a happy family. Although there was a time my dad was retrenched and I saw my mom work very hard to put the meal on the table. I agree with that, hardworking, and to my point, it gets me to my point now. I always see that a man, you can do without a man. So I think sometimes it can affect you positively. For me, positively is that I work hard because I don't want to depend on a man. Then on a negative side is that sometimes I don't see value in them. That is me.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Raymond, I can see your hand up. Then Wamboi after Raymond.
It is interesting that the lady who came before me raised an issue that I wanted to say. This is having bitterness towards a parent because of what they could do or could not do without understanding why that happened. Nugget. So, for example, I hope she won't be offended if I just took the conversation from her. Like, for example, a dad who was providing got retrenched. So that means he was curtailed from providing. And so the mom took up the mantle. But now the mom becomes the hero but the dad, before he got retrenched, was doing something. And this happens so much and boys. And the fact that
Raymond, tunakupoteza. Raymond, unapotea.
Women are starting to think that is very worrying, and it is. Am I clear?
Yes, now you're clear.
So, what I was saying is, just to reiterate in case
unapotea tena.
Somebody, we judge without sitting down with a parent, especially a parent, and asking why. Wacha tu niwachane nao, nitadiscuss.
Aya, tafuta network before Wamboi aongee. Aya, Wamboi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I think my understanding of adverse childhood trauma and okay, the experience is that, okay, I have had an experience where there is a lot of dysfunctionality and it has really affected my way of how I see relationships. Because most of the times I tend to attract people that are damaged, or rather they're very dysfunctional. And I think this is because of familiarity. Because the more something is normalized, it's easy for you to like attract the same kind of people because of that familiarity. Because there's no way someone who has been raised in a healthy household is going to tend to attract guys that are maybe dysfunctional or damaged. So I think it has a very negative effect on future relationships. So I think that is why one is supposed to like go for therapy or try to, try to heal before getting into relationships. And even on who was talking before me? I've forgotten the name.
Raymond.
Yeah, even the fact, okay, he said something about resentment and bitterness and all that. I think it is I don't know, I feel like it's something that actually happens because I've experienced that, where you feel like you can't forgive. It's very hard for you to let go because of the things that you have gone through. And especially if you have been emotionally neglected, it really affects how you see things and how you view life, on your outlook. Yeah, I think that's my take on how childhood traumas affect you.
Thank you, Wamboi. Raymond, is your network back?
I don't know, unless you tell me if you can hear me.
It's back.
So what I was saying is, it is okay. Children have this thing where they blame their parents for something which they did or did not do, without actually getting their side of the story. Our mom has told us that raising a child is very hard as a single parent. Then you see somebody would blame that parent for raising them as a single parent without understanding the reason behind it. And this point, I'm bringing it in terms of fatherhood. You see, men are providing, they do provide, but I don't know why children do not recognize when their fathers are doing something, but will be quick to judge when the father is not doing it. Like you'll see a father will take a child to school paka class 8. Alafu wakati amelemewa kulipa high school and the mom pays, not the mom becomes the hero. Mama yangu alinipeleka shule miaka yangu yote. You see, I think that is very unfair. And I think we all need therapy, especially when we find that we have this thing against our parents. Because I know there are shitty people out here, but most parents want what is best for their kids. So I think even just when you get to an age, but I'm happy. I think I am the second oldest person kwa hii session. When you get to a certain age, you get to experience marriage, you get to experience parenting, then you start seeing things you did not see as a child. And then that will be the optimum time to sit down with a parent and work out zile vitu ulikuwa unafikiria kufanya na hakufanya. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond. And to add on that, I think, yeah, there is a gap somewhere, because most times you find us celebrating our moms more rather than our dads. And growing up, you realize sometimes the dads wanaweza enda kutafuta pesa sana mpaka tunashangaa. But sasa when job zao zinaisha, because he's a man, kuna konga na ile like masculinity, you are socialized to become a man. So hata him accepting that he needs help inakuanga ngumu, because already society ishamweka ile kwa ile platform yenye lazima provide whether he has a job or not. So I think that is a gap that we have, and I think growing up ama ile time tutakuwa pia maparo, we try socialize our daughters and our sons better, so that they realize that when kuna saa pia mwanaume ana need help na kuna saa pia mwanamke ana need help, and a woman will always come in to help you depending on what kind of relationship you guys have. So Helen, sorry, Meshak kwanza alafu Helen.
Thanks. Kile nilikuwa nataka kusema is I think speaking from a personal experience is I grew up in a good home. Good home in the sense that I had my parents were present and still are present since I've been around, and they're very supportive. But for me, I would say I had both positive and negative experiences growing up. Positive in the sense that I've said my parents were there and they're always present, but negative in the sense that I think sometimes my parents did not agree with some of the things. Most especially my mom. My mom is a teacher, and she is still a teacher. She's very strict. She can be very strict. So I think she raised me with values like, respect, humility, kindness to people, stuff like that. But then again, she had her experiences and her beliefs that I didn't really agree with. So, and when you're growing up, that's the period where you're identifying yourself, by the time you're a child and you become a teenager, then you become a young adult, and you finally become an adult. So you're experiencing yourself, you're discovering more about yourself. So that impacted negatively and positively as I grew up. And it was upon me to work it out, even as I kept on discovering myself. So to mention what Raymond said, and even what Jolie said, when you're growing up in our families, and most especially, in this generation, we are different sets. The baby boomers, and then now us, the millennials, who are of the recent, time. And there's a shift. In the baby boomers side, they had social constructs, and this social constructs affected, how people viewed things, and there were stereotypes like, mwanaume hufai kulia, unafaa kukaa ngumu, when unafaa kutafuta pesa, and then there were, stereotypes like, the ladies are the ones who are supposed to cook dinner or, do this and do that. And these things affect how we grew up. Some of them affected us negatively, and some of them affected us positively as well. So what I'd like to say, my take home for you guys is, I understand it can weigh heavily when you grow up some of the negative experiences you've had, and it can also weigh heavily some of the positive experiences you've had. But I think as a person, because you have personal choices and decisions, needless to say that those things, impact heavily on what we do, or what we become later on in the future. We have a personal decision to become good people. I think, if you grew up in a dysfunctional home, you have the choice when you grow up to say, apana, when I grow up, I'm gonna do this right, or I'm gonna, do this, not this way. So I think, that's something we need to understand. And then growing up for me, I had a very interesting childhood. I'm very different. I'm very different in the way I do my things and where I handle stuff. So I think when I grew up, I had a lot of people who didn't agree with some of the stuff I chose to believe in or do. And so you come to meet a lot of people who are chauvinists, people who believe it is all about men and that's it. I don't want to hear anything about women. And then you also have people who grew up being very extreme feminists who believe it is all about women and men have nothing to say. So I think and this becomes normalized even as you grow up. I mean, apana, men are better than women or women are better than men. So I think we need to rationalize these experiences when you grow up. If you had a negative experience, we do acknowledge, you embrace the fact that you had a negative experience, it impacted on you like this, but this is the thing you need to do right. Yeah. So that's, I think, what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Meshach, for such an informative feedback. Haron, do you want to speak? Okay, we'll go to Helen and Raymond because I see your hands are still both up. Helen.
Okay, thank you. For me, I would say what you do to a child when they are small, they will still remember.
Ni network nina lock. Nikienda kuongea na lock.
Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Acha Helen amalize alafu uongee. Helen, you can continue. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So it is not that the children forget about what the dad do to them, but most of the dads nowadays, or maybe most of the dads in our time, they would work, provide, but they will always give mom the money to go and pay the bills, go pay school fees. When your mom comes and pays school fees, you will always see your mom who has paid the school fees. You don't know whether it is the dad that gave that money. So I would encourage men to be present, even if they are providing, they be present to their kids. Because I'm very sure if you provide to your kid and show them you've provided, they will not forget. Even if you don't have, they will still remember there's a day that you provided. That is all what I have.
Thank you so much. And I love the fact that you've changed the sentence in terms of not just men providing, but providing and being present at the same time. Thank you. Raymond?
Hello?
Okay, Haron, you can go next.
Hello? Hello?
Haron, we can hear you.
Okay, for me, negative experience really mended me because I realized that I was able to be responsible and also to accept the fact that life can be also hard, and also to understand that in everything, every moment counts. So I would say that so far from my childhood experiences, have been able to be a very responsible person, and I've been able also to advise my siblings because the life experience that we had, it wasn't that good, and we actually got separated while we were very young. But I was able to trace my siblings and also manage to get them back to school, even though things didn't go well. But at least they're somewhere in their lives. So that's what I have at the moment.
Thank you, Haron.
Hello.
Thank you. Joy, you have not spoken. Do you want to speak? Joy Wangari.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So another another effect of ACE is low self-esteem. Yeah, So when I was young, I think I know I'm not the only one, but most of us used to bedwet. So it went on until I think class 7. So there are these comments. So when you take your bedding aside, you're being given these comments, you've been told to take these different herbs, you've seen so many pictures, you're asked whether you've had any sexual traumas. Yani, it was traumatizing, very traumatizing. So it affected me to a point where I couldn't even go for sleepovers, even in my relatives' houses, because I'm afraid. Up to now, okay, sai iliisha, but inakuanga tu up at the back of my mind. Even when I go for sleepovers like girls' nights, iko tu somewhere in my mind that, hey, and there was a time I really couldn't do this because of the comments, and you are afraid, you don't want to drink water, so you're taking salt. So it can really mess with your esteem. But my parents were very supportive, and given that I was the only one,
Joy, we've lost you. I think I may drop off. Probably she'll rejoin. Kate and Raymond, I can see your hands are still up. Do you have something else to add on? Kate? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, Meshach has spoken about something that is very, very important in terms of making a decision as he was growing up, which made him differ with the parents. And also, is he Haron, the one who talked before Joy Wangari?
Yes, it's Haron.
I would like to urge all the young, especially the from what Meshach has spoken, and also from what Aaron has spoken. I just want to sum it up by saying that as I was parenting, and this is a takeaway note to the young parents, especially the young fathers who are on this platform or upcoming fathers, that the most important thing, especially when you hear there was a conversation between Raymond and I think Helen. There is something that we call absentee fathers. I happened to be one of the PTA and chair, PTA member of where the boys went to school is, and that is the truth of the matter. You find that you've given birth to kids. The boys need that fatherly figure in their life so that they can also nurture them to be young, to be good parents in future. But this is a boys' school. Most of the parents who come for the Parents' Day are mothers. As much as there is that notion that mothers like boys more than girls, but at the end of the day, this is a boy who needs some counseling in regards to what Jolie you were stating about the masculine whatever. But the fathers are always not there. So you find that like I was a PTA member in a boys' school, and I was caught in between. You find that there are so many things that the boys used to tell me that as a mother ninashindwa how to handle. But most of the boys there used to confess that the fathers were absent. And it was a fact because where I was a PTA representative, the students were 56. And out of the 56, you could find that at every given time that when we were going to school, maybe when we were called for a meeting, in that class of 56 parents, you could find that the attendance was about 30 something, and in 30 something, less than 10 fathers could attend that meeting. So that one really showed that most of the parents unapata hawako, the fathers hawako. And what I want to tell you is that the class that I was representing, unfortunately enough, 3/4 of the students there came from either single parent, separated, divorcee. So you can you try and imagine what those boys were undergoing in terms of their upbringing? Most of them had that negative impact. Some of them had the positive impact, but the majority had a negative impact. So as upcoming parents, I will kindly urge that the fathers, you be there for your kids most of the time. And most of, if you have the boys in the house, it is really, really very important that you be there for them and also teach them on how to be fathers and responsible young male in future. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you so much, Kate. Raymond, I can see your hand is still up. And Haron.
So network. Yeah. I just want to take the conversation that mom has started about men being present, fathers being present for their sons. I would also like to ask children and our wives and future wives. I know here I'm talking to girls who are supposed to get married. Also understand that this person is human. That what does it mean for the father to be present? Because, for example, if I have to work so that my son can go to school, and it is that work that is making me not come to that school thing because I have to pay the school fees. You know, life is about trade-offs sometimes, and it is very hard for kids to understand. That is very understandable. And this is why where our wives should come in. Because you see, as a man, you are caught between two places. I'm talking about not those men who have neglected their sons. I'm talking about those men who are working so hard to provide for their family. So it is up to our wives to come in and stand into the space and explain to the kids, baba yako haizi kuja hii mkutano ya shule kwa sababu lazima tulipe school fees. Na yeye ameenda kutafuta hiyo school fees. So do you want him to come and then ufuzwe shule and then you can't come to school, then ikuwe hawendi shule juu baba yako ni kazi? I think also we also have too much expectations of these men, and that's why our failure rate is so high, because you are expected to provide, you're also expected to be present, and sometimes you have to choose between the two. Like those people who work outside town, kazi umepata Mombasa, so anaweza kaa Nairobi nikae na watoto wangu tulale njaa, ama niende Mombasa nifanye kazi watoto wasilale njaa, lakini nisikuwe around for that long. However, I do agree that men should find time, no matter what they are doing, to especially teach their kids the ways of being a man. And also, hata kama ni kukuja kwa shule, zile meeting moja moja, I'm very sure mtu anaweza tafuta leave, anaweza omba ruhusa kazi, akuje meeting kama hizo. However, expectations zetu kama spouses, kama children, na sasa hapa tuongelee watoto wa shule kwa sasa si wote kwa married. Let us also have a realistic expectation of what a man can and cannot do. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond. Haron, do you want to speak?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
First of all, I would like to thank you also for holding this meeting, and also to thank everyone who is participating, and also to just to add on what Mrs. Kate Domingo just said. She's really raised a very good point there, and thank you. So another thing I would like to say, just this is just an advice to those parents also who can hear me, who are in the group, that they should try and not make a lot of promises to their children, because also that do traumatize them on one or the other when they fail to fulfill their promises. Another thing is I would like to say is therapy is for everyone. So I think it could be better for everyone just to seek help. Talking is always good. When you find someone who can listen to you, is very important. And another advice to all the parents is that they should learn to listen to their children. It is very important, because when they don't listen to their children feel like they don't belong. So it's like they have no value in the family. So I mean, these are the things that I felt, because most of the time I could smell danger in the family. I could smell when something was going wrong or something was about to happen. So, and I wasn't, I couldn't get that chance just to speak my mind out. So it's very important for parents also to always listen to their children. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Haron. Meshach?
Thank you, Jolie. I just wanted to add on a bit about what Kate said and also what Raymond said. Kate talked about, having absentee fathers, and I do acknowledge, some of us and, a lot of us who've grown up, some of us have had absentee fathers, and this has been normalized in the sense that, and when I talked earlier on, I talked about generational difference. Some of the things between our generation, which are millennials, and the generation of our parents, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, who are baby boomers, was a very different being raised up. From their time, they were being beaten. May I remember my mom used to tell me, now my grandfather was very, very strict. When you come to school and you're, even number 3 or number 4, why you're not number 1? Unagongwa na ile kijiti ya kutembea, and some of that was carried on now to how some of us now are raised, because our parents believed, huyu nitakuchapa, So my point is, a lot of how our parents grew up translated into how they handled things, and also that translated into how we, grew up, and how sometimes how we handle things and some of the decisions we choose to make. But then again, something important is we need to break away from some traditions. Some of these things are caused by, some culture and traditions. You remember, when FGM was very normal, a girl can just get circumcised and that's okay. I don't think it is okay. Things like, you probably hear people saying, mwanamke humpendi sana, humpendi kama hujamchapa kidogo. And I used to hear someone say that and it sounded so normal, but it wasn't normal, And these were things that had been normalized. So these are things that even as we grow up, we need to break away from. We need to realize, be more open-minded. We can't really say that, mwanamke humpendi kama hujamchapa kidogo. I don't, sort of really agree with that statement. And then, some of these things, really lead into how we grow up. We justify, beating women, and, and this leads to things like anger, anxiety. Coming back to what Raymond said, sometimes we
Meshach, we are losing you.
Expect from our parents. Sorry. Can you hear me now? I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you now. You were talking about what Raymond said.
Sorry for that.
Giving some
Oh,
feedback on what Raymond.
yeah, I was talking about what Raymond said as well. Sometimes you expect from our parents, and this leads to stereotyping. When he was talking about the man going out to look for school fees, these are some of the stereotypes you also grew up with. Mwanamume anafaa kwenda kutafuta, and then maybe mwanamke abaki nyumbani and take care of the children. And these are stereotypes that were very, very normal. But now you see women seated in high powers, being CEOs and being big people in the judiciary. And what I'm trying to say is there's been a shift from how things used to be into how things are now. So we should really break down some of these social constructs that we've had, this stereotyping. Now, even the lady can go and look for money. The man can also go and look for money. The man can take care of the children just the same way the women can take care of the children. And I think when the moment we really begin to break down this stereotype, and we begin to work through these things, that's how we begin dealing with some of these issues that we've been facing during our childhood, and that has translated into our adulthood. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Meshach. So to add on what is on the chat, David says, according to me, adverse childhood experience increase the chance of social risk factors, mental health issues, substance abuse, intimate partner violence, and adult adoption of risky adult behavior, such as reduced educational and occupational achievement, heart disease, obesity, depression, substance misuse, etc., etc. Then Hasanya says, one point to note is that adverse childhood experiences may not be direct, but in the form of content seen on the TV or social media. This has a great influence on people's behavior and beliefs as adults. And yes, I do agree, because then next, as we wind up, we were to look at now, how does these childhood experiences affect our mental health? Like, what are some of the mental health issues that come up as a result of I see someone is saying I'm breaking. Sorry, can you hear me? Unanisikia?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I was saying, as we wind up, what are some of the mental health issues that arise as a result of these childhood experiences in terms of positive and negative? From the chat and from the conversations, we've seen issues of depression coming up. We've seen anxiety issues. We've seen alcohol and substance abuse, self-esteem issues. I don't know whether there are other you need to add. Or I can see Wamboi saying there are personality disorders, e.g. narcissistic personality disorder and paranoid. So in this narcissistic personality, how does this come up? Anyone? Wamboi?
I think, okay, this is something that I've experienced with the narcissistic. So being raised by a narcissistic parent, it is very easy for maybe one of the kids to like adopt that, because especially if there is because narcissists usually give the kids roles. Like there's the emperor, the black sheep, the golden child. So I think one of the kids usually takes up the role of the mother, and they are being raised by a narcissistic parent. I think it's possible for them to have that.
Okay, thank you for elaborating that. Any other effect that we've forgotten, or an addition to some of the mental health issues that arise as a result of the ACEs or PCEs? So I'll take silence as no addition. So recommendation now, way forward. You've been raised in adverse childhood experience. You've been raised in you've had a positive childhood experience. So how can you now become better as an adult growing up? What are some of the strategies or some of the coping mechanism or some of the behaviors that one can take up to make themselves better. So Raymond, Hasenya, Haron, Kate, I can see your hands are still up. I think you want to contribute. So we'll start with Raymond, then Hasenya, then Kate, and then Haron.
So in terms of how do we cope, number one, therapy is very important. Number two, being realistic to what is, not what can be. Because there is a lot of information huku nje, especially I have been agenda activist for too long. And one of the things that keeps coming up and coming up and coming up is the issue of social construction. And people forget that social construction is nothing without biology. It is rooted in biology. So if we are real, let me just give an example. A woman can do a lot of things that men can do. Men can also do a lot of things that women can do. But that does not mean that just because I can do, that I am the best person to do it, or that I can do it better than my spouse. So there is also the issue of reality. If we are real, I was brought up in Kibera. So being real in Kibera means that I don't want to live the life they are living in hapo tu nyumba yetu Ngumo Estate. So because of my situation, it is different from the situation of the neighbor. So if we can accept the reality, as we work towards making our reality better, accept it and then start improving it. I think sana story of cope, and also especially stories of anxiety, the stories of social media and what media is feeding us. I think that one will, and also what mainstream civil society organizations are feeding us, because there is a lot of indoctrination going on. And because you are happy because something is current and modern, don't forget that just because something is traditional that it is bad, because I think that is what has been put into young people and people of today, is that modern things are good, modern ideas are good, traditional is bad, traditional things are bad. So I just think we just need to have the nuance and also of looking at the situation and what we are going through. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Raymond. Hasenya?
Point ya Raymond ya to embrace reality. So much inakuwa pushed by the media, by people, the expectations zenye watu wanafaa kuwa nazo, right? Especially relationships. Na unlearning these things will take time. Probably imekuwa narrative you grow now. This is what the normal for you. So the first step for me, I think, unlearning. Study information, and learning that information is very big step. The eliminating behaviors, they're going to portray because of this experience. Now, there's a lot of many ways you know that. Information, there's YouTube, Reddit, Quora. There's a lot of information out there. So, information on what exactly your role as a person, as a man, as a woman, life, ama in relationship is, alafu bado pia msemaji I think that's it. This is one learn whatever the third from the further your point GP and all that. That's a better person. Yes.
Thank you, Eric. Maybe you can also type kwa chat box whatever you've shared, because kuna zile zimetupotelea kidogo because I think of your background noise. Kate, then Haron, then Wamboi. Kate, if you can hear us. Haron?
Can you
Oh,
hear me?
sorry. Yes, we can hear you, Kate.
Number one thing, dialogue is very important, especially the generation of nowadays. But as much as there is dialogue, the Bible states, and there is also one saying that says, spare the rod, spoil the child. There is this generation whereby huwezi ambia mtoto kitu, ukimwambia anakuthreaten with a lot of negative attitude, which is very bad. So as a parent, we really need to be very keen on how we bring up our children in line with the biblical values and norms. And even the children, as they are growing up, they should be able to know that whatever mzazi amemwambia, this parent has seen the positive and negative impact in bringing up the child. So it is a very challenging time for us. But what I know is that whatever impact that we are going to bring to the children, and especially in bringing them up, in line with the norms that are required, the only thing that inatusumbua, especially as Africans, is we want to be so much westernized. Na ukiangalia in reality is that most of hawa watoto wazungu wengi wamefika wakasumbua wazazi wao sana, and unapata wengine wanatolewa, wazazi wanatoa watoto hapa wanapeleka hizi European countries, na watoto wanapofika pale they emulate ile culture ya huko. So when they come back unapata mtoto amechange, mtoto hataki kukusikia, that we want to be like Westerners, but bearing in mind that the environment that we are bringing up these kids is not the same as the one yenye iko huko majuu. So all in all, we need dialogue, and we also need to instill discipline to the kids. And I think somebody hapa alikuwa amesema that we really need to have a lot of conversation with our children. As young parents and as upcoming parents, I will kindly request that when we get into parenting, we go to these seminars and we also try and learn a lot in terms of bringing up our children. That one will really assist us. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Haron, then Wamboi.
Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so the first thing is to actually involve oneself to these communities that support health and development. And another thing is having a sense of purpose. You know, having a sense of purpose, this will enable you to focus on what you intend to be in the future. Another thing is also to look up to these social connections. You know, I mean, there are a lot of platforms whereby we can, I mean, someone can can participate and get help. Also, talking is very important. Find someone to talk to. I mean, someone you are close to. It's very important. Thank you. That's all I have at the moment.
Thank you, Haron. Wamboi, I think Wamboi is the last person, then we can finalize.
Okay. I've gone through the comment section and I've seen someone talking about therapy, going for therapy session. And I was asking for someone who doesn't have the financial muscle to be able to access such services. What are you supposed to do about it, especially for someone who has already has depression, and maybe she or he has the signs and all that? How are you supposed to go about it if you don't have the financial muscle?
To answer your question, there are facilities that offer pro bono services. Like at our workplace in Nzumari, Africa, we have a psychologist and we offer free counseling. So you can get in touch with us after the meeting. I think you're in the WhatsApp group. Are you?
Actually, I'm not. I'd like to be added. As I saw this post through someone.
Okay, I'll share my number with you via private message, then you can get in touch with me after the meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So in addition to whatever the participants have shared, there are also others in the chat box. And okay. David says coping mechanism, seeing a therapist, working on the genogram for both parents and accepting the reality. Then Anthony says, don't allow your past to define your future. Seek help whenever you find yourself overwhelmed. For those who are parents, raise your child to be better than you, but don't force things on them. Then Grace says, another interesting concept I learned is you can show up for yourself the way you weren't while you were a child. For example, if you are neglected, learn not to neglect yourself. Then Winnie says, make peace with yourself. Don't let your past pull you down. And another important thing is stay away from everyone and everything that makes you feel unworthy of yourself. Asenya says, embracing reality and understanding your role as a man or a woman in life or relationships. And learning wrong things you've been fed since birth. Eliminate the hard mentality. Then David says self-awareness also can be a good impact of a coping mechanism. Johari window. Maybe later on you guys can search on Johari window and you'll understand it better. Also do a personality test, know yourself. So we have come to the conclusion of our session. I don't know if there's anyone who has any AOB. Kemunto says, clear your past before you move on. Otherwise, everyone has a past. Don't oversee things. And yes, I agree with all you've shared and the recommendations you've given. And as I always say, something that may work for me may not work for you. So pick what you think will work best for you and what you think you can like within yourself. So any AOBs, any last words before we leave the session? Haron, do you want to speak?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. So this is to thank everyone that is here with us today. Thank you for finding time to join us. I believe we've learned from each other. And whether you went through an adverse childhood experience or a positive childhood experience, I hope that you now know how to cope better from the recommendations that have been given. And as someone has said here, your past does not define your future. So if you had an adverse childhood experience, you might grow up and want to become better for your future kids as a future parent. So and learn the behavior and seek therapy. Therapy is important. Most times we ignore it, but therapy is important for everyone. You don't necessarily have to have a mental health issue to seek therapy. Everyone should seek therapy at one point in their life, because at times things happen and you don't know why this happened. Maybe you just had a good life. All of a sudden, unaanza kuwa na shakiness in your life. So this is life. Today you might have a good experience, tomorrow you might have a bad experience. So seeking help, seeking therapy is very important. And for those who want to follow us more, we have our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us at Nzumari Africa. We normally share our posts there. Then for those who want to join our WhatsApp, I'm leaving my email address in the chat box. You can send me your number so that we can add you to our youth gathering space that is online. Otherwise, I want to thank you again for joining us, and may you have a lovely evening. Thank you. Good night. We officially finish our session. Kwaherini, mulale salama.